Thank you for coming today to watch our undergraduate research workshop. In this workshop, we will be covering what undergraduate research is, and we'll give you some more information on that.
Before we get started, we'd like to do a quick land acknowledgement. Michigan State University recognizes that the land on which we conduct research, explore questions, and express creativity sits on land ceded in the 1819 Treaty of Saginaw. We acknowledge that MSU occupies ancestral, traditional, and contemporary lands of the Anishinaabe, Three Fires Confederacy of Ojibwe, the Ottawa, and the Potawatomi peoples. As one of the first land-grant colleges, MSU is a beneficiary of the land allotted through the passing of the Morrill Act in 1862. As such, we have the responsibility to hold each other more accountable to the needs of American Indian and Indigenous people. All right, we can
So
get right into it.
yeah, we'll jump right into it. So to give you guys a little bit more information about me, my name is Emily England. My hometown is a suburb of Chicago. I'm currently majoring in material science and engineering with a biomedical concentration. And my research interests are primarily focused around biomaterials. The current project that I'm working on is looking at failure mechanisms in honeycomb patterned polyethylene glycol hydrogels. And I'm also finishing up some work on the surface modification of magnesium alloys for biodegradable osteopathic applications, which essentially means I'm looking at how we can modify magnesium to be a biodegradable implant. And a fun fact about me is that I went paragliding this summer. I was in San Diego this past summer, and a fun fact about research is that you can make a lot of connections. And so when I was in San Diego, one of the members of my lab was actually there as well, and so I got to meet up with her. And so that's that picture over on the left. We went hiking in Joshua Tree together.
All right. My name is Hari Haran Ramakrishnan, but I just go by Hari. I'm from Macomb, Michigan. My major is physiology with a minor in leadership of organizations, and I'm set to graduate in the spring and matriculate to medical school in July. And a fun fact about me is I love sushi and birds. I have a bazillion stickers of them on every surface, my laptop, my mini fridge, and mountain bike, and every other surface I can find. I just started there for a second because I forgot to mention my research interests. I delve into neuroscience research. I research the neuroimmune interactions in chronic pain.
So we have a couple of different objectives for this workshop today. First, we're going to give you a definition of what undergraduate research is. We're going to debunk some of those misconceptions and let you know what it looks like. Then we're going to talk about who participates in undergraduate research. Then we'll segue into what the benefits of undergraduate research are, the different types of positions that there are, as well as some final advice and a couple of questions that we often get.
All right. So if you do a Google search of what undergraduate research is, this is an example of what you get. And if you notice one common, I guess, factor in all of these are all wet lab work. And then that's a common misconception. Research happens in every setting, not just inside a wet lab.
Exactly. And so if you delve into what undergraduate research really is, it isn't just using pipettes and beakers and standing in front of a poster at a presentation. Research happens in every sort of discipline. And so not just STEM disciplines. For example, archaeology is a discipline in which we do research. So you can see we've got a picture of some bones on the screen. You can also do research in linguistics. So we have a table of vowel classifications here. Research does not have to be that stereotypical image of somebody in a lab coat with some lab goggles. Research happens everywhere and in so many different ways.
Yes, and now we can go over the definition of what undergraduate research opportunity is. Undergraduate research is defined by the Council on Undergraduate Research as an inquiry or investigation conducted by an undergraduate student that makes an original, intellectual, or creative contribution to the discipline. Some examples of undergraduate projects that have happened here at MSU are creating relatable sex education for middle school Black girls, and that would be an example of it in a field in English. Or improving storage for red blood cells needed for transfusions. That would be biochemistry research. Or the impact of food label design on children's food selection, and that would be packaging. As you can see, there is research that solves real-world problems in every single field and discipline.
Absolutely. And undergraduate research occurs in every college here at MSU that has an undergraduate degree. And like I mentioned before, undergraduate research is not just STEM. Nearly every professor here has opportunities for undergraduate research, and they all want to include undergraduates on the work that they're doing. And so there's plenty of opportunities out there here at MSU.
Another misconception about undergraduate research is that it's just for seniors. And as you can see, over half of undergraduate participants are not seniors. And it's also a misconception that if you are already a senior, it's too late to get involved in undergraduate research. And that's also not true. And it's undergraduate research is also not just for students in the Honors College. The Honors College does have its own programs for additional research funding, but there are tons of research programs and opportunities outside the Honors College. And you can see that one half of students presenting at ERAF are not in the Honors College. And transfer students can also do honors undergraduate research.
Absolutely. And so we're going to talk a little bit more about why you should participate. So there's a bunch of different reasons we have listed here. First of all, it can help to clarify your career goals. I know that for me, when I started out in engineering, I felt a little overwhelmed. There were so many different paths that I could take, and I didn't know where I wanted to go with my degree. But as soon as I joined a research lab, I learned about the field of biomaterials and I learned about how engineering can be applied to the medical field. And so for me, it really helped me to clarify my career goals. So that's something that I really relate to a lot. It also improves the competitiveness of your applications to things like graduate school, professional school, jobs. It's a great thing to have on a resume, and it's a great thing to talk about in any sort of interview for any three of these different scenarios. It's also an excellent professional development opportunity. You get to gain so many skills that are hard skills and technical skills that you may be using on the job, as well as a lot of soft skills, including a lot of communication, working in teams, and making sure that you're really designing your project in a clear and concise way. It also can improve academic and critical thinking skills. I know that for me, a lot of the things that I was doing in my research lab connected to the topics that I was learning in classes. And so it helped me to draw a lot of those connections, and it really furthered my understanding of my academic content. You also develop a lot of lifelong connections. Like I mentioned on my intro slide, I was able to go on so many fun adventures with this girl who was in my research lab, who I just happened to be in the same city as over the summer. And so there's a lot of opportunities to create those lifelong connections, especially with the professional professor mentor that you work under. There's so many opportunities for that.
So, what can you get out of it? Other personal benefits to research includes a hands-on learning experience. It helps you apply what you learn in the classroom to real-world experiences and solve real-world problems. You can improve your academic and critical thinking, since it's not just about getting the right answer. Wrong answers are also valid because it tells you what is not right. But research also expands on your understanding of the world. You can add overall, you can add your research experience to your grad school applications, your Spartan experience record, which is an official university document that tracks your extracurricular involvement across campus, or your resume. It helps you professionally in many different facets. And overall, research is fun. It allows you to pursue your intellectual passions.
So there's a couple of different types of research experiences that we want to talk about. But the first thing that I want to say is that all research projects for undergraduates are mentored. There's two main different types that we see here at MSU. The first is an apprenticeship, where you are working more so in a team of researchers. So you will be on a team where you're working towards similar goals. Then there's also independent research positions, which is where you may have a little bit more agency over your project from the very beginning. It can still be team-based, and like I said, you will still have a mentor that you'll work with, but it may be a little bit more independent. Um, Oftentimes, a lot of the disciplines in STEM have apprenticeship type intern or type research experiences, and a lot of humanities tend to fall more under the independent type of research experience. But honestly, these can happen in any sort of different discipline. And just because you would be in STEM doesn't necessarily mean that you can't do an independent project. And just because you're in humanities doesn't mean that you have to do an independent project. But these are the two main different types of research experiences out there.
Mhm. I agree that there'll be a lot of differences depending on whether you do your research in a STEM or non-STEM area. I would also like to emphasize that all projects at the undergraduate level are mentored. You won't be expected to walk into a chem or bio lab and just know how to do everything. Another common question is, what's the difference between an internship or the difference between an internship and a research experience? Well, an internship would be typically done in industry, and those are funded by companies, and those are more focused on generating a marketable outcome, whether that they can sell, for example, a pharmaceutical company or a chemical engineering company, a materials company, while a research experience is done with an academic institution, and they're not concerned with the creation of new knowledge that leads to a marketable outcome, and more focused on creating knowledge for the sake of knowledge.
Another thing to note about the internships versus research experiences is that internships are often a little bit shorter and often occur over the summer. Sometimes they can occur over the fall if you're doing a co-op. And research experiences often last months to years. A lot of projects will continue going on at a lab after you may have left. And so another big question is, where does research happen? So research can happen in the classroom. There's a program called CURES, which stands for Course-Based Undergraduate Research Experiences. And so those will occur in the classroom. There's also other credit-bearing experiences, including directed studies. I know that MSU, we have a bunch of UGS courses that are based around research that will happen inside of the classroom. There's also labs that are associated with a lot of science classes that could be considered research classes as well. Research also happens on campus. There's a lot of paid experiences out there. These can range anywhere from 5 to 20 hours a week. And the great thing about having these paid experiences, I personally think it's the best job to have on campus, is that your professor that you work under understands that you're a student. And so they'll allow a lot of flexibility with your hours, especially if midterm season is coming up. So they definitely understand that you are a student first. But research does happen in these paid experiences. There's also a lot of volunteer opportunities. Sometimes professors may start you out as a volunteer on their project while they sort of evaluate where you fit into the lab and where your skills would fit. And it also happens in all colleges here. There's also plenty of opportunities to participate in research off campus. There's a lot of study abroad and study away. I know that I had the opportunity to do some research abroad at Spain when I was after my sophomore year. And so that was a lot of it was so exciting for me to be able to do that, and I got to continue that project when I came back to MSU. And then there's also a lot of summer research experiences. These take the form of REUs, and they take place at a lot of other universities across the nation. So it's a great opportunity to go explore a new university, explore a new area of the country. But there's lots of opportunities to participate in research, and it doesn't have to just be at MSU. It doesn't have to just be during the school year.
In order to start your research or your research on undergraduate research experiences, here are some steps we recommend you take. 1, identify your interests. What are you curious about? What classes excite you the most and why? What interests you about your major? Then identify key resources you can use to find these opportunities. And that's why we're here at the URCA. We'll help you step by step throughout with a variety of resources to get that research position. And communicate with the faculty. Research your faculty members on their research interests and projects and labs, and you'll be surprised about how many different kinds of research projects that our MSU faculty are involved in. Get creative with your search.
So the next steps that we have from here, you want to identify what was your most interesting class. You want to really take a look at what your interests are and see how these could connect to a research project. Think about how there might be a problem or an issue that you want to know more about. So for me, I wanted to know more about how materials could be applied to the medical field. For other people, it might be you want to know a little bit more about frogs. And so you can identify different research projects that relate to problems you want to know more about, interests that you have. Then you can also look at what your career goals are. If you know that you want to go down a research career, if you know that you want to go more into industry, there's different career goals that you can have, and connecting research experiences to that is easy, and it's a great way to advance towards those career goals.
And on that note, we'll switch gears to a little bit of a Q&A. So we'll just, since it's done through a virtual format, we'll just ask 2 common questions that we hear a lot in our roles. So Emily, how will research help me professionally?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And so research can help you, like I mentioned, on graduate school applications, medical school applications, as well as job applications. To touch on the first one, I just finished applying for grad school. And so almost all of the applications that I filled out asked about undergraduate research experiences. And they also often will ask about where you want to go with your research in grad school. And so having some experience in undergrad is a really great place to start. And for med school applications, they really like to see a big breadth of knowledge. And I think you could probably speak more to that, Hari, but I think that undergraduate research is another great thing to have, especially in med school applications. And coming at it from an industry point of view, when I interviewed for my internship for last summer, I talked about my research through the entire interview, and it was really impressive to the interviewers that I was talking to. And I got to apply a lot of the skills that I learned in the lab to the work that I got to do at that internship. And so it's really great to help you professionally from all different sorts of aspects, whatever you're planning on doing after college. Like we mentioned, grad school, med school, as well as it's great for your resume, internships, and for going into industry. Um, so Hari, where can I get some more information on where I can go from here?
Yeah, of course, Emily. On that previous slide, we also had a QR code for our next workshop. This workshop is focusing on what is undergraduate research, while the next one will be focusing on how to get involved. In addition, you can also get a one-on-one consultation with the research ambassador available on the URSA website, and this QR code on this slide will take you right to it. There's a variety of different resources that guide you through what research is, how to get involved in research that are all available in the undergraduate on the URSA website. In addition, an additional program that I would suggest checking out is the Pathway to Research program. And that is it's a large structured program that will take you step by step from figuring out what research is, identifying your interests, and ultimately finding a position. It'll guide you through over the course of 3 weeks on each of those steps.
Thank you guys so much for joining us for this workshop, and we hope you enjoyed it, and we hope you enjoy the next workshop as well.
Have a good one, everyone.